Okay, I'd like to invite Honorable Prime Minister to raise the motion and define it.
As per Scott Phillips, you can't pick or choose which kind of freedom you want to defend. You must defend it all or be against all of it. Good morning, everyone. Today's motion states that this House would exclude religion from the national curriculum, meaning there wouldn't be a subject termed religion on the basis of which students will be graded upon. The three basic points that the government will be focusing upon are, first, the creation of discrimination due to superiority of a religion. Secondly, the creation of predomination leading to the negative use of religion. And lastly, a sensitive issue such as belief should not be forced upon a student. First of all, why is it important to exclude religion in Bangladesh? Although, as per the constitution, Bangladesh is an Islamic country, yet there are other religions which exist in our country, which include Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, etc.,
Point of order.
which deserve equality in order.
Point of order.
Okay, Shovik.
Sir, Bangladesh is a secular nationalism, not an Islamic country.
Okay.
So I thought there were no
Honorable
point of
Prime
orders
Minister.
in the British parliamentary debating system, like as
Yes,
per the
okay.
PDF that you sent us.
Yes, there is no point of order, but just I take it because I know what Shovik is going to raise, because Bangladesh is a secular country constitutionally, okay? So keeping that in mind, you should proceed on. Okay. From the beginning or continue?
I'll continue from here, sir. I'll continue from here.
Okay, continue from here, okay.
So keeping all religions in consideration, everyone deserves equality, as they're all citizens of the country. Bringing to my first point, which is the creation of discrimination due to superiority of a religion. As the majority of Bangladesh are followers of Islam, it can be clearly seen that people of other religions are mostly looked down upon. Starting with the first thing in the morning when we consider assembly, approximately in 98% of schools in Bangladesh, only surahs from the Quran are recited. No verses from the Gita, nor any sayings of the Bible. So a student of any religion other than Islam is differentiated from others due to a different set of beliefs. The very first thing in the morning, I, the Prime Minister of the government side, will elaborate on the first and the second arguments, while the third and further elaboration of the first will be done by the Deputy King. Now, moving to classes, the coexistence of various religions in a particular classroom is specifically important for the overall development of a state, because that way socialization occurs. But before coming to that, what about the struggles that a non-Muslim student faces in our society? Yes, they do have friends of different religions, but the bonding that a Muslim with another Muslim will have will not be the same of that of a non-Muslim. On Friday, students are seen going to Jummah prayer together. Such kind of socialness strengthens the bonding of people of the same religion, whereas it creates a somewhat of a sense of being distant in the minds of those non-Muslims. Even though all subjects are taught with equal importance, just when religion class is about to start, the students of other religions are separated and taken away, and thus generating the feeling of being different or minor comes into perspective. Even though it is outwardly said that there is no, yet these types of social variations are really visible to the human eye. During our JS exams, on the day that we had our religion exam, we had 2 Hindu and a couple of Christian examinees in our classrooms. The questions of the Muslim students were there and given to us on timely, but the questions of those people were delivered 20 minutes later on, thus proving that they have different kinds of importances in regards of question distribution. Then these minor religions are not properly taught by the school authority, often due to lack of teachers. And even if there are instructors of minor religious subjects, students are not given much emphasis on being open without hesitation and expressing their beliefs and without feeling subsidiary. Now, coming to my second point, which was the creation of predomination leading to negative use of religion. So what do we understand by predomination? Predomination basically means the possession of power due to a state of being greater in number. Now, putting aside Hindus, Christians, and Muslims, come to a more particularly visible state of unfairness, which is done in case of minor ethnicities. Due to lack of being properly educated, they often fall victims of various sorts of religious superstitions, which eventually lead to acts that are inhumanitarian. So if they were taught humanism rather than the minor knowledge that we have of religion, then discrimination would somewhat be overthrown. Now, taking the New Zealand mosque shooting into consideration, when a white person commits a crime, then that is termed as psychological disorder by the media. Whereas if that same crime was performed by a Muslim, then it would automatically be considered as terrorism. Why? Because majority of terrorists are from the Muslim background, which basically overlooks the fact that people other than Muslim are also engaged in terrorism. In the same way, religious importance is overlooked and misassumed by the 10% of the non-Muslims residing in Bangladesh. Again, the incident of the holy artisan where 7 people were sentenced to death due to the killing of 22 people, among which 17 were foreigners. The CTTC's chief of Bangladesh, Monirul Islam, stated in their charge sheet, and I quote, "The suspects thought if they could kill a large number of foreigners, they would be under local and international spotlight. At the same time, they would be able to draw the attention of global terrorist groups." Among these people who were responsible for holding hostages, one was a student of NSU. So definitely he has been taught about his religious ethics from his institutional life. Did those ethics prevent him from committing such a sin? It didn't. Why? Because he lacked in his humanitarian ethics. Then again, the misconceptions that people have regarding Islam and the permission of jihad was extremely terrifying after the incident of 9/11 in the USA. So if such a developed country could have misconceptions and blame an entire religion for some of weak-minded moral people, then imagine the kind of chaos that would be created in our country if a group of people perform some kind of a similar incident from another religion other than Islam. Then that would create psychological pressure along with humanity will completely be gone. So how does all of this connect to the exclusion of religion as a subject? Understand this, there is no way, and I repeat, there is no way of emphasizing all religions equally in a country as a subject due to the variation of ratio of population. So to solve this issue, religion and basic aspects of religion could be taught as short courses in an institutional premises, but it should be eradicated as a subject in whole to prevent the sense of discrimination and unjust assumptions. And the opposition could talk about how religion helps in developing moral values, bringing inner peace, ensuring knowledge, and all that. But my question to the opposition leader is, why is the current mindset of the people in Bangladesh overlooking humanism and prioritizing blind faith? And with that, I would like to conclude my speech here. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for your valuable speech. Now I would like to invite the opposition.
Yes, sir.
Opposition leader?
Yes.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I, as the leader of the opposition, will be focusing on 4 points. That is, religion helps to form ethical framework. Practicing ibadat keeps one physically fit. Religion helps to achieve mental stability. And excluding religion will create heaven. Honorable Speaker, I, as the leader of the opposition, will be presenting the first argument, and the deputy leader will be presenting the remaining arguments and discuss the position of stakeholders, and finally she will be providing the flashes and comparison of this debate. Honorable Speaker, we cannot start or we cannot do a debate when the Prime Minister has a fully opposite thought about the system of Bangladesh, about the religious system of Bangladesh. Firstly, Bangladesh is a secular country, as I have already told. So she has firstly to be mentioned that she has only focused about Islam mainly. She didn't talk about the problems of other religions and only focused on religions. She told about terrorism. Honorable Speaker, the main reason of terrorism is not because of religion, because of the lack of nurture of parents. Honorable Speaker, most of the parents are now working. They keep their child with a maid, and the maid does not nurture the child properly, and as a result, it creates a problem in their mindset. Honorable Speaker, they are given electronic devices from a very young age, and that does not include religion. And I will repeat that lack of nurture of parents is the main reason of terrorism nowadays. And they have talked about religious superstition. Honorable Speaker, I don't know how excluding religious subjects will help to overcome this religious superstition. I'll be asking the question again: how excluding religion will focus on excluding the superstition. Honorable Speaker, before starting my constructive, there are 5 main points why religion is beneficial religion is to be taught. They are social cohesion, social control, explaining the unexplained, psychological support, and positive social. Almost speaker in social cohesion, we know that religion brings society together. It unifies people with common set of beliefs that promotes a sense of community and a positive social behavior. It gives social control, prevents undesirable behavior in society by associating with negative consequences and creating society laws and norms based on moral expectations. And waking up first in the morning, what we think, why we are here, and what am I supposed to do, and the religion explains the unexplained, that emotionally satisfies answers to the big questions of human existence. And then we have psychological support, that is emotional support in time of crisis. It provides stability in uncertain times, meaning to deal with painful events like death. And lastly, positive social change. Use values and ideas religions to create social change in society. It's not about spreading the particular religion, but challenging unjust and corrupt systems. Honorable Speaker, coming to my first argument, that is how religion helps to form ethical framework. So, what is ethical framework? An ethical framework is a set of codes that on individual leaders to guide his or her behavior. Ethics are what people use to distinguish right from the wrong in the way they interact. So, based on your moral judgment, you think the best solution, and religion helps to create this moral judgment with a solid foundation. Ethics involves systematizing, defending, recommending. I repeat, systemizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. A central aspect of ethics is the good life that cannot be assured if there is no religion. The life worth living, or the life that is simply satisfying, which is held by many philosophers to be most important than traditional moral conduct that can be taught without religion. So next, with the wide range of ethical traditions, religious tradition coexist with secular value frameworks such as humanism. The Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister has told about humanism and humanitarian values. Yes, within the wide range of ethical frameworks, I repeat, within the wide range of ethical frameworks that can be ensured only by religious teachings, religious traditions coexist with secular value frameworks such as humanism and utilitarianism and others. There are many types of religious values, modern monotheistic religions such as Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and to a certain degree, others such as Sikhism, define right and wrong by laws and rules set forth by their respective gods and interpreted by religious leaders within the respective faith. Polytheist religious traditions tend to be less absolute. For example, within the Buddhism, I repeat, within the Buddhism, the intention and individual and the circumstances play roles in determining whether an action is right or wrong. According to Stephen Goldberger, was generally assumed in the 17th century that the religion provided unique basis of morality, and without religion there could be no morality, which will create a great havoc in the society. The deputy leader of the opposition will be focusing on that matter. Okay, now we're talking about ethics, so let's talk about the ethics of different religions. According to in Buddhism, the ethics in Buddhism are traditionally based on enlightened perspective of the Buddha or other enlightened beings who followed him. Moral instruction are included in Buddhist scriptures or handed down to tradition. Then Christian ethics is a branch of Christian theology that determines virtuous behavior and wrong behavior from a Christian perspective. Systematic theology study of Christian ethics is called moral theology. So, Honorable Speaker, what we come to a conclusion that if religions is taught properly, then there will be no problem in the problems that the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, that is terrorism. Honorable Speaker, ethics is in Hindu, it is called Nito Shastru in Sanskrit language. Is an ancient text of Hinduism. Ethics and value are much debated and evolving concept in ancient scripture of Hinduism, because virtue, right conduct, ethics, and morality are part of complex concept Hindus called dharma. Everything, that is, everything essential for people, the world, and nature to exist and prosper together in harmony. That is why religion is much needed. For many religious people, morality and religion are the same or inseparable. For them, either morality is a part of religion or their religion is the morality. And people like our honorable government bench, they are for them, the non-religious people, morality and religion are distinct and separable. Religion can be immoral or non-moral, and morality should be non-religious according to them. My second point is practicing religion keeps one physically fit. Okay, how? I'll be explaining by 3 points. Firstly, autophagy. Secondly, the health benefits, and thirdly, the cleanliness. Our speaker in 2016, Nobel Prize winner in physiology and medicine, Japanese researcher Yoshinori Oshimi. Why? Because she researched about autophagy. And what is autophagy? In every religion, there is a time when people fast. Why? Because autophagy is the body's way of cleaning out damaged cells in order to regenerate newer, healthier cells. In one review, fasting improves alertness, mood, subjective feelings of well-being, possibly improving over all symptoms of depression. And the mental, according to the deputy leader of the opposition, will be focusing on that point further. And secondly, doing everyday prayer improves our body posture, secretion of glands, stretches the body, and it controls the abs, controls the blood flow, and improves digestion. And lastly, the cleanliness. Obviously, speaker, when Muslim fast for 5 times a day, what happens? All the parts of this body are clean. There is no single dirt remain when he cleans the body 5 times a day. Our speaker, they talked about the questions that arises, the problems of question given in the exam. Our speaker, let me mention one thing. Every system has some flaws, so it is a common flaw of this system. There is the flaw can be overcome. If the flaw can be overcome, then there will be no problem. Again, they have talked about the why the current mentality is why the current mentality is like that nowadays in Bangladesh. So I have already told, lack of nurture of parents. I'm repeating again and again, lack of nurture of parents. That is why the main problem here occurs. The mentality is not developed properly. The parents, the first school of a child is his home, and when the parents are outside from the very beginning of his life, how can this morality be such developed? That is why religion is needed, and that is why religion should not be excluded. Without wasting much time, let us come to a conclusion that religion should not be excluded, religion should be taught and properly. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We surely take this debate.
Deputy Prime Minister. Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. Okay, you may start.
An inclusive education system today is the best chance we have creating an inclusive society tomorrow. I would first like to thank the opposition team for having this good intention to keep the religion in our national curriculum. But as it is creating such issues and chaos, we the government is here to prove that why by excluding religion from the national curriculum will do good to our society. And I will also point out the flaws in the opposition team's argument. Now I will explain why we should definitely agree to the given motion. I have two arguments to prove. I will sum up the first argument and then I will add new points. The first argument was the discriminatory behavior created due to superiority of religion. No student, whether Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, or Sikh, or any of other religious background should experience barrier to learning and success in school because of who the student is or what the student believes. Firstly, in our country, we are not being taught about all the religions. Even if we did, there will arise some perplexity, which I will discuss later on. So here's where the segregation starts. When the students are being grouped and taken to different classes to learn about their religion, they then hold a perception about being different from others. They start staying away from the people of different religion and most likely to stay on their groups. And it creates a divide in local schools by having separate school boards. In majority of institutions, we see that students are trained to pray some verses from the Holy Quran every morning in the assembly. Why is that? When they are student of other students in the school, why the institution is not giving much importance to them? Bangladesh is a Muslim country as written in the constitution, but yes, it also states secularism. Then why the students are being deprived like that? If the opposition side is making us believe that the religion should be on the national curriculum, then they're completely wrong, where many students cannot practice their religion in school and college. Not only that, but the institution are not providing enough or experienced teachers to the students except the Muslims. The word Hindu, Muslim, Christian itself putting bad impacts on the children from their early learning. They should have awakened to the word humanism first. Humanitarian values is above the religious values. Thirdly, being different is one of the most common reasons why kids are bullied. As a result, it should come as no surprise that Teens are often bullied because of their religion, especially if it is not a common term in our country. The major religion of Bangladesh is Muslim 90%, other religion groups are Hindus 9%, Christianity 0.6%, Buddhist 0.3%, and Amin 0.1%. So bullying is really a common term in our country and outside. For example, if a Sikh boy wears a turban, he is often targeted simply for wearing and others try to proselyte them, and the teachers even also include in proselyting. Thus, the victims produces an alarming level of fear and anxiety, and it also causes them to question about his or her faith and belief. Remember, no student should ever feel like that he deserves to be bullied because he holds a different set of beliefs. Though Bangladesh is an Islamic state, yet Muslims are being bullied and Islam is seen as a dangerous religion by others because of their religious heritage and terrorism. As in other countries, Muslim families have suffered because of a fanatical manner too within their faith. Even though these children have nothing to do with terrorist activities, they can feel the brunt of religious bullying from their peers. For example, bullying and hate has become more prominent in USA, especially towards Islam. And of course, by the President Donald Trump, where he writes things like that Muslims are refugees. I repeat, refugees. And, uh, and in New Delhi, a mosque was set on fire in February 25, 2022, while a mob shouting Jai Shri Ram and Hindu Ka Hindustan paraded around the burning mosque, and a Hanuman flag was placed on a minaret. And in Norway, 42-year-old man burned the Quran to stop this Islamization. This hatred was planting on these people from the teenage. This incident will also put a bad impact in our country. These are heinous crimes by all religion, but still it pushes the people to the misconception. Remember, our religion should be very simple. Our religion should be kindness. Our third argument is a sensitive subject. Religion should not be forced on any student. We should not force students to be the part of religious teachings and activities without their consent. So the rest of the society can do what they want. If so, I would call it communism. I believe that every individual should have a say in what goes on. If you are bringing religious education in classroom, then we are just bringing prejudice in classrooms. Yes, we all agree that there are definitely good aspects of religion, but most of the people do not get their moral from religion. And what are the children of religion tend to think of non-believers when the number one commandment is, thou shalt not worship false gods. This will surely lead to the non-believers being outcast in a place where they're supposed to be just learning. Religion is very sensitive and religion should be taught by their own family in churches or wherever it is appropriate. Why being something that is totally irrelevant and based out of beliefs and not pure facts to be brought into the classrooms? And there is no major influence of religion in career choices. Majority number of students are not interested in taking religion as their career. Even if they did, it won't be beneficial, and there is not much opportunities in Bangladesh. Practically, in working sector, religious knowledge isn't of much importance as it is not required by graphic designers, doctors, engineers, service holders, etc. But yes, they need to have ethical values. We can keep the primary ethics in replace of religion in school, but not in national curriculum. So in our education system, our children are not given proper scope to being educated as per all religion. Basically, we are being held back from what all religion shows. Even if it did, it will create more confusion, as in our country, the educators does not teach us how and when to practice our religion, focus about positive messages, about love and kindness. But those very same religions also include material that is downright violent. Many students will think of how the Old Testament is full of horrific stories and the Quran seems to condemn violence. So it will create confusion among the student, and thus the teacher cannot erase the confusion of the student as they are not much trained and do not have much knowledge about religion. Because in school, we are just being taught about the histories, not the Torah, not the Quran, not the Bible, not the Gita. But But from our childhood, our parents keep religious teachers in home to teach us this Quran, Torah, Gita, Bible. So it is better studying at home. Because family is the most important agent of socialization. They give us our first system of values, norms, and beliefs. We should read the religion with our family in a peaceful place. Now, our point arguments. The leader of the opposition has said that the religion teaches ethical values. Yes, religion obviously teaches ethical values, but ethical values can be taught in other ways also. Many non-religious households are successful in raising their children to be successful and caring households who function well in society and who are accepting and tolerant of those from the diverse background. Ethics and morals in children mostly has nothing to do with religion because that can be taught differently. So why should that be a reason for religions to be taught in school? For ethics, religion might not be the best standard by which it teaches due to the often glaring constructs that are found in certain religions. And the opposition leader has also said that we are only talking about the religion Islam, but yeah, yes, we are talking about the Islam, but we also emphasizing to the other religion, and Islam is also a religion. And today in our world, uh, uh, a lot of people are against Islam and making such chaos. And he also told that the religions religions brings peace to the people. Yes, religion brings peace to the people, but discrimination, it is the reasons of so yeah I think that we should exclude religion from the national curriculum in this replacement of primary ethics. So thank you.
It's the time for Deputy Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I, the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, will be presenting the later two arguments as the first and second argument was presented by the Leader of the Opposition, that religion helps in forming ethical framework, which means this particular approach helps in a character building of a person. In other words, religion acts as an agency of socialization. This religion helps in building values like love, empathy, respect, and harmony. And argument number two, like performing ibadat keeps the body physically fit. As we perform 5 times prayers in a day, the person will be benefited internally and externally. 5 times daily prayer movement will enhance flexibility and general muscular fitness of body. As the motion goes, this help would exclude religion from the national curriculum, which is a bad implementation. This policy for the role of religion in education flows directly from the constitutional values of citizenship, human rights, equality, and freedom. Coming to the later two arguments, argument number three, practicing religion helps in achieving mental stability. Religious obligation helps students to develop mental health by creating internal commitment to special rules. This meta-analysis aims to determine the relationship between religious orientation and anxiety among students. Religion and faith refer to a set of customs and belief manifested in a religious entity. While it can be conceptualized as a wide structure without financial goals, defined religion to facilitate movement toward God. Religion has a positive relationship with mental, physical, and physiological parameters. From religion perspective, there are internal and external religions. In internal religious orientation, faith is a transcendent value considered as inclusive motivation and commitment. Moreover, internal religion is related to adaptation ability, expectancy, ability to find meaning in life and diseases, and better adaptation to stressful events. However, in external religious orientation, religion is an external tool to satisfy personal needs such as position and security. In other words, religiosity functions to obtain security and social status, and those with this orientation use religion as a tool to reach their wishes. Most of mental disorders that result from physiological distress and bitterness of life are observed among non-religious people. Religious beliefs lead to positive emotions and feelings among people who improve physical health by strengthening their immune system. Since students constitute sensitive and important members of society with such a young age, their lifestyle is very important because it improves their health level, where religion is an important factor that promotes physical and mental health of this group. According to the reports by National Mental Health Association, 46% of male students and 54% of female students suffer from anxiety. Studies have found over 7.3 million Bangladeshis suffer from depression and anxiety. So think about the number of students included there. Nowadays, students use the phrase of the fear of death as a fear of living. Why is it? It's because of the immense amount of pressure we put on them. This religious studies can take them to some hope, can take them to a more peaceful environment to give the answers to their questions to live. The importance of anxiety and depression among students due to expansion of this disorder from initial stages of life to next stages, in addition to lowering daily activities, creates mental disorders, compliance problems, and crime in future. Religion practice in various schools is an escape from all of this. Coming to argument number 4, excluding religion from the national curriculum can create a havoc. Let me give an example. Think in a railway station, if one of the railway tracks is taken away, the whole system will collapse. It's the same over here. If we remove religion from the national curriculum, it will the system will collapse and create havoc in the society. So if religion is removed from the national curriculum, which was implemented for this many years, different religious leaders will start riots. Our society won't be the same. It will affect the children's mentality. They will grow the habit of being violent towards others. Their mentality will be affected by this great chaos. The four main religion in our country is Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, and Buddhism. Christianity in Bangladesh account for 0.5% of the nation's population, together with Buddhism account for 0.9%. Whereas Islam accounts for 89.1%, followed by Hinduism at 10%. Each of the religion has their own individual book published in our national curriculum and is taught to our present children. So there is no discrimination whatsoever. I repeat, there is no discrimination whatsoever. Students attend classes in which their own religious beliefs are taught. Each and every one of the religions have an assigned teacher to teach the students their religion. Coming to our government, the Deputy Prime Minister had said that Bangladesh is a Muslim country. As our leader of the opposition has already told, it's not a Muslim country. It follows secularism. They also said that students are not given the scope of being educated as per their religion. No, they are not. I have already explained that there's no discrimination whatsoever. Each and every one of the religions have their own specific book published in our national curriculum. The four main religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. They also say that yes, we can be taught religion can be taught to children by their families and parents, but think about if we teach them at our schools, they can grow the habit of being not being discriminated towards other religions. So as I was saying that there is no discrimination whatsoever. To sum it up, we, the opposition, has presented four arguments that religion helps in forming ethical framework where all the moral values lies in. Religion also helps in keeping our body fit. It helps in achieving mental stability. And last but not least, excluding religion from the society will create great havoc. Having to say that we, the opposition, firmly believe that rather than excluding religion without any consent, we should think about how much it can help us to become a better human being in future. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to invite Honorable Opposition Leader Shovik.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance again. Honorable Speaker, the government side has set forth many points, yet meaningless. Starting with, we have talked about religious superstitions. The main thing about religious superstition is, if we teach children's religion in institutions, I repeat, if children are taught religion in institution, then religious superstition will not occur. And the main reason of religious superstition prevails not in this modern society because the religion is taught in our society. And these religious superstitions prevails in the village areas or in the underdeveloped areas where children are not properly educated, religion is not taught. Coming to the second thing, that is they have talked about the current mentality. I have already told that the lack of nurture of parents and and leaving them alone with maids or house servants is the main reasons of the derived mentality in today's society. Almost because they have talked about discriminated behavior in schooling, that taking the one children away when the religious class start. Almost because the first thing I want to say is they want to create an army of equal size, equal weight. That cannot be possible, almost speaker. If religion is not taught in our school, then we will also perform the religious activities not as the subject, but we will perform when there will be time to prayer at 1 p.m. Then the religion, the child with the child follows Buddhist religion or Christian religion will be left alone. So they, are they proposing to exclude religion from everywhere, to stop this, to stop all religions? And they have talked about the question thing, and again I have already told that there is a problem in every system and it should be ignored. Next, about the profession choosing, almost because the deputy prime minister has told such a foolish thing about profession. Then why Bangla and subjects like agriculture, Bangla, work and life is taught in our schools? Almost speaker, coming to the next thing, they have talked about terrorism. Almost speaker, I don't know how they relate terrorism with Islam. Not only because that most of the terrorism are Muslims. The main thing arises in the present society is the children are not properly cared, not properly nurtured, and what problems creates? They creates a new era, a new world in their own mind. A derived mindset arises in them, and they become alone from the society. They do not have friends, and what is the reason? Because they are not taught properly by their parents. They are not properly taught. Almost because the deputy prime minister told again a funny thing, that is religion should be taught in home, as because the religious the parents took religious teachers to teach the religion at home. The main thing, almost because all the students most in Bangladesh are taught math, science, chemistry, physics in their home. So what is the reason why there is school prevailing in our society? I have no idea, on speaker. According to them, they have talked about why Islam is taught in our schools, because most of the people do not take Islam as their profession. Almost speaker, I repeat, 5%, only 5% of what we are taught in our schools are needed in the present situation, or needed in the professional life. Everything has to be taught properly and equally, so that we develop a mentality, we develop our mindset in such a way that we can work in all society. And again, the deputy leader of the opposition has told that if religion is taught in a society, then the discrimination the government is talking about will be excluded, because we will start to study them and have a good friendship with them. Almost because they have talked about um, in they have talked about the current mentality and creation of superiority. Almost because I don't know why they have talked about bullied in our in the speech, and the main reason of bullied is not religion. The main reason of bullied is there are some types of students or some types of people who are bullied, that is the physically disabled, and those who are intelligent but not smart enough. These types of students are bullied, but not because of religious differentiation. Almost speaker, the deputy prime minister has said our religion will be simple and our religion will be kind. I don't know, are they supposing or are they proposing a new religion in our society, or they are trying to change the full kind of religion? Almost because they have talked about humanitarian. I don't know how excluding religion will be given, how excluding religion will help to build humanitarian and prevent terrorism. Almost speaker. Then they have talked about why the honorable deputy prime minister has said that why religion is taught in a school. Religion is taught in a school. We have already told why religion is taught in a school, because it develops moral ethic.
Honorable leader of the opposition.
Yes, sir.
Your time has finished.
So can I get 10 seconds more?
No, you just say thank you and conclude your speech.
Thank you, our speaker. In short, we have told why this system should not pass in the house. Thank you. We surely take this debate.
Okay, because you took already for an 4 minutes and maybe 40 or 45 seconds. Okay.
So,
Now this is the time for Honorable Prime Minister.
So can I get 2 minutes before my speech?
No, no, no. You can get 20 seconds.
So may I begin?
Okay.
Okay, sir. So let me start off by saying how religion is frequently used as a term of legalized madness. Although in Bangladesh, religion is seen as a reality check, despite all the advancements of humanity has witnessed over the years, the average human is initially cruel. Let me start off by saying what the leader of the opposition mentioned in his speech at the beginning. If religion is taught properly, they forgot to emphasize on the if part. Till now, it hasn't shown any kind of effectiveness in our society. Then, how does fasting connect to institutional education, and how does ibadat being taught at school when it differentiate from a person being taught the same thing at home? They said how 81.9% of Bengalis are Muslims. That is the majority of Bangladeshi people. That is why we focused on the Islamic term rather than the minorities. And that is why when changing a curriculum, not only the majority, the minority has to be taken into consideration. They have failed to explain how they don't understand how humanitarian values connect to religious ethics. First of all, humanity means regular conscience, like regular affection towards other people, irrespective of gender, irrespective of religion. They talked about how better human beings in the future would eventually lead to a reality where negatively religion is influenced. They talked about how there are problems with every kind of society and they have flaws and it should be ignored. Well, you cannot solve a problem by simply ignoring it. They talked about how math, English, and science, other subjects can be taught at home. Then why not religion in the same manner, since you're considering it as a subject of our national curriculum? Therefore, I believe that even though religion might be a medium through students learn to be nurtured properly, and parents are the crucial cause and are the crucial reason why how a child's behavior and mentality is developed. But if that parent is not taught about is not taught the right human ethics themselves, then how can they pass that on to their children, right? So that is where the lacking of educational system, where they talked about how socialization is an agency and how they proposed how do they propose on ensuring proper implementation of internal religion. Internal religion is basically a concept that comes from within you. It cannot be taught in an institutional premises. Therefore, we believe that humanity, where people are showing affection to others and considering everyone's feelings and emotions, is if it's taught to the children in an institutional premises, rather than particular religions that they're familiarly transferred onto. That way, people will properly be able to understand another through humanitarian values, and the religious information that they will be provided from at home will help enrich their humanism and character, and thus probably have a better future in the country. Thank you. That's all that I have to say.